So I'm starting something new on my channel. It's a video series called Creators. It's about people that create anything, whether that be music or painting or baking or anything else. The end goal is to expose the viewers to the creators featured to inspire them to create something for themselves, whether that be improving on something they already do or exploring something entirely new. The first video is about Syracuse musician Merritt Harris from a band that I'm a big fan of called Mountains and Valleys. The following is an interview with him about how and why he creates his music and how he wants it to affect other people, followed by a live performance of one of his songs. I hope that you all take as much away from this video as I do and that it inspires you to create something new.
I grew up in like a really musical family. My parents, my mom and my dad both play guitar, and they played like guitar and church stuff a lot. And so there was always like instruments around the house, and both my parents play piano to some degree. My dad's kind of self-taught. But so we always had like a piano and guitars everywhere and percussion instruments, just lying around the house. And so when I was a teen, like in middle school, my brother started learning guitar, and he was learning some chords, and he's older than me. And I was like, you know, kind of bored that summer, and he just wanted to show me some stuff. So he showed me classic G, C, D chord progression. And it's kind of clicked instantly in terms of passion for it. So, you know, as soon as I started doing it, I couldn't stop. It was like I was hooked. The songwriting aspect started, I think, my sophomore year of high school. I started, I had two friends who also like played guitar and stuff, and we were like, let's form a group where we get together and like try to write songs and then share songs with each other. And once we do that, let's like give each other good feedback, like, oh, the song should do this and should do that. So the songs were like pretty awful. They were very bad, but it sparked the passion for that, for songwriting. But then senior year of high school, so I was probably, 18 or so, I started like viciously writing like tons of songs, and it just like kind of snowballed. And I think the reason I started writing songs then was because I was going through like a lot of like tough times in my family, and so it was a way for me to cope, and also a way for me to like express some of the things I was feeling. After high school, I was in a band called The Second Author, and I was drumming with that band, and that was probably like one of my best musical experiences I've ever had. So that experience was really, really good for me, and it kind of was my first like more professional band experience. But when I ended up moving up to Syracuse, and my friend Justin, who was the songwriter for The Second Author, he was about to graduate, and then he moved to Switzerland. So when that broke up, there was kind of a void of good music in my life, and creating and creativity and like pouring out and making something. And then I started writing a whole bunch of songs, and I actually put out a little post on Craigslist, which I'm a huge Craigslist guy. I think I already told you that. I meet so many people that way. And we formed Mountains and Valleys version 1. The current edition of Mountains and Valleys is kind of a conglomeration of like multiple people kind of going in and out, and multiple people joining, and multiple collaborations, and the record is like different people, and so it's kind of like a big group of people who have all kind of helped make it happen. You can't really think too deeply about the name, but if you want to do that, which is kind of unnecessary, it could be like emotional mountains, emotional valleys. That's not really what it was meant to be, but it kind of, I like that it has like, it could have multiple meanings if you wanted it to. But I don't know, the reason I went with a band name versus like my name is I didn't want the singer-songwriter appearance, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to give like a singer-songwriter with a session band feel. So that's kind of why I was like, I want to have more of a band feel where it takes the focus like a little away from me and more towards like what we do as a whole. So I would say the reason I kind of describe it as like a more open-ended like collaboration is that I want people who maybe are talented musicians and have something to offer to be interested in joining and be interested in collaborating in the future, even if they don't collaborate right now. I think the fact that like people are the current bandmates are just very dedicated and very like behind what they're doing, I think that's amazing. That's really good. Music like does have like a subconscious effect on me, in that I'm becoming more aware now that like the topics I choose to sing about and the lyrics I choose to write kind of affect my subconscious. And so I've kind of come to realize that like I want to write about the things that I want to project for myself. In terms of like why music versus something else, I think I think part of that was maybe a happy accident, in a sense. That there wasn't necessarily like a deeper spiritual or anything like meaning to it. It was just that as a creative person, there was a medium around me that allowed me to do something, and since it was around me so much, I was so like in the trenches of it, that doing music was the easiest way to do that. Music has had a deep impact on me in terms of kind of my emotions and how it makes me feel when I relate to other music that I've listened to. So I think because of that, like to me music has had a lot more power than other art forms. The main way I want my music to affect others is I'm very like passionate about like relationships and having good relationships and building relationships and a sense of community, a larger community in my neighborhood, and then a larger community in the world. And I think that I want my music to like create conversations where different folks can kind of, whether it's about the lyrics or not, whether it's even about just the musical aspect, they can grab onto something in the music, and that could be a common ground for people to have conversation and build relationships. I think I also want my music to affect people in the way that like just enjoyment, like entertainment, that people can listen to it and be like, I really like this and I enjoy it, and it's catchy, it gets stuck in my head. Like I do want to, there's like a kind of like a base level of just wanting to like make something that's nice for people. Okay, so Three Drinks is a song about the reality within relationships of when you let someone down, and kind of how that feels when you let someone down, instead of the ideal that everyone wants to hear.
Everyone knows the wages of sin. Everyone knows the places I've been. It doesn't take two to lose your eye. See, I'm always much farther than I used to be. But I've got a head full of steam. 3 drinks to soften the scene. And you had every right to this. My silence is torture and bliss. My silence is torture and bliss. I thought you were the big bad wolf. I thought I'd fall into the black hole. Sideways glances and crooked chances. I'm sure the nameless love were dances. But I've got a head full of steam. 3 drinks to soften the scene. And you had every right to this. silence is torture and bliss. My silence is torture and bliss. Honesty, it will tear you apart. Oh yeah, honestly, let's go back to the start. Well, honesty, it will tear you apart. Oh yeah, honestly, let's go back to the start. Back to the start. Back to the start. But I've had a head full of steam, 3 drinks to soften the scene, and you had every right to this. My silence